Hi, it's Professor Jim Faulkner at Manchester College, and I'm back for part 2 of my Innovation Road Trip interview with Second City. In part 1, I met with producer Robin Hammond. Robin made a very interesting comment to me, and at the end of the interview, it turns out she was explaining to me how liberal arts education was so important in improv at Second City. My question all along was, is improv comedy innovation? And I think in many ways it is, and it's also creativity. What Robin told me about liberal arts education was, at Second City, they want you to play to your intelligence. And she explained this further by saying, you need to know a lot about a lot of things, and you need to play from your experience and your knowledge. So let's rejoin producer Robin Hammond at the Second City as we talk about innovation and improv comedy. Okay, here I am at Second City, waiting to talk to producer Robin Hammond. Cool place. What's the standard path? A person comes and is a student, and then they say, I love this?
I guess the standard path would be they see a show. They see a show, either a Second City show, or they see a show at, Improv Olympic, or, whatever, but hopefully it's a Second City show, and then they decide, I want to do this work. Once they make that decision, they typically will start to take classes. Once you start getting into classes, you start meeting people that you enjoy working with and that you want to perform with and you want to create shows with. So people will typically start to, they'll continue their study, but they'll also start looking for performance opportunities and finding them. Once they get their reps and they get, they get ready, they'll audition for the Second City. Usually when we hire someone, typically people will audition for us anywhere from 2 to 9 times before they get into the touring company. And then they'll tour, they'll go out on the road, they'll play, huge performance art centers, and they'll also play colleges. They'll play, they play all over the world. And then once they've been on the road, the directors, the producers at the Second City will start looking for new talent for ensembles, and, will hopefully cast you in a resident show. But it's kind of a long, winding path, and there are a bunch of different ways to get here, but that's kind of the basic path.
Okay. Why is the name brand in improv not in New York City?
I think people ask that all the time. I think a big reason for that is being in Chicago, we're not, New York is so front and center. They take it. They're the first city. They are the cultural mecca. But everything that opens in New York is judged. It's either a hit or a miss. Chicago, there's a little more, there's a little more. I think Chicago audiences don't mind if you fail. Chicago audiences love risk. I think they really do. And I think they're really tolerant of it as well. They're excited about something that's their own. The one thing about Second City is it started the off-loop theater movement. There wasn't a lot of off-loop theater. There wasn't a lot of theater that wasn't a road show in Chicago when the Second City came around 50 years ago. So I think when audiences would come in to see a show, they were so excited to have something that was their own, to have a cast of actors that were talking about life in Chicago. We're talking about the national conversations, but could also look at that local. They knew what was going on in politics. They knew what was going on in their neighborhoods. And I think they were super tolerant of, okay, we'll bite, we'll be supportive, we'll tell you what we like, we'll tell you what we don't like. And, and that's a great thing about Chicago. They're so responsive. They're so supportive. And I think that's why. I think for improvisation in particular, there's some nights everything hits, but there are some nights where it doesn't, where you re-improvise something and it's just not hitting. But we have to know that, as we're creating new material in our improv sets. The third act of our show is always an improvised set, and we actually offer that free. to audiences. So, but because we know sometimes it's 90% of the time it's going to hit, but there's that 10% where it doesn't. You got it, and you have to be able to take that risk.
So you're like, I'm just thinking this now, you're like Procter & Gamble or Calvin Klein, and you've got to come up with a new line every night.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
No fear of failure here.
No. I mean, and that's one of the things, like, the people that come through don't fear failure. They're always putting themselves on the line. They're always taking a risk. You cannot play it safe here and succeed. It just doesn't work.
I just saw a quote the other day from a fellow named Safi Mather. He's on TED.com, and if you haven't heard of TED.com.
Yeah.
Safi had started a free ambulance service for anyone in an accident in India, and if you've got a good amount of money, you pay full tariff, and if you've just got less, you pay less. And it's quite a story. But his friend and co-founder said to him, well, we can't fail. We're crazy people trying to do an insane thing, and insane people don't have any idea what's failure or success. So we're good.
Right. It's true. It's a good point of view. That would be very fitting for Second City as well.
Well, thank you very much. I have one final question,
Okay.
Robin. My students are undergraduates at a liberal arts college.
Okay.
They study some professional studies, business, pre-med, and education. They also study the humanities and the arts and the social sciences.
Great.
What should my innovation students take away from thinking about Second City? What should be in their head when they think Second City?
I think a couple of things. First, don't be afraid to take risks. You have to take risks in order to move forward. It's absolutely essential in order to succeed. I think getting your reps is important. Get out there, get your experience, and that comes with don't be afraid to fail. Get out there, do it, just make it happen. I think the next thing, we didn't talk a lot about it, but a big thing at Second City is play to the height of your intelligence. Be smart about it. They're in a great position. Your students right now are in a great position. Learn as much about everything as possible. One of the things that makes a great improviser is someone that has a knowledge of many things. A deep knowledge of many things is great as well. But that way you can bring your own point of view, your own perspective to whatever you do. And I think it just opens up more opportunities if you open yourself to more experiences. Learn about art history, but learn about biology. Learn about all these different things so that you can just be a better, well-rounded person so that when you do get out into the world, you're ready.
Well, that sounds like a great explanation of the value of liberal arts education.
Absolutely. It's very important to the Second City.
Thank you very much.
Thank
I appreciate
you.
this.
Thanks for stopping by the Second City.
So here I am at the front door of the Briar Street Theater in Chicago, learning about Blue Man Group. I have just learned that I need to work through New York and probably talk to the founders to start to find out how we can get the skinny on this thing. More later.